I'm glad to see you in session number 2. You are exactly in the right place to begin unlocking your own mystery and rebuilding your life exactly the way you deserve. If you are still here, it means you didn't just listen to the first session, something inside you moved, something started to question the old patterns, and that is where real transformation begins. In the first session you discovered how your brain works, how it filters reality, and how your thoughts shape the life you experience. But today, you will understand something even deeper, why you keep repeating the same patterns even when you want to change, and how to begin breaking them at the root. Because the truth is simple, but uncomfortable, you are not controlled by your thoughts alone, you are controlled by what is hidden beneath them. Your subconscious mind. Right now, more than 90% of your daily actions are not conscious decisions. They are automatic responses, built through repetition, emotion, and past experiences. The way you react to stress, the way you handle money, the way you approach opportunity, the way you speak to yourself, all of this has been programmed long before you became aware of it. And if you try to change your life only through motivation or willpower, you will feel progress for a short time and then you will fall back into the same patterns. Not because you are weak, but because your system is stronger than your intention. Think about this carefully. How many times did you promise yourself that you will start something new, and then you didn't? How many times did you feel ready, and then suddenly lost energy, clarity, or confidence? That is not coincidence. That is programming. Your subconscious mind is designed to keep your identity stable. It does not care if your identity is limiting or empowering. It only cares that it is familiar. And this is why change feels uncomfortable. Because change means stepping outside of what your brain recognizes as safe. There is a well-known psychological concept demonstrated by Martin Seligman called learned helplessness. In controlled experiments, individuals were exposed to situations where they believed they had no control over the outcome. Later, even when they were given a clear way to escape, many did nothing. Not because they couldn't, but because they had learned that effort does not change results. Now imagine how this applies to real life. A person tries, fails, tries again, fails again, and slowly the mind creates a conclusion. This doesn't work for me. Nothing changes. This is just how life is. And from that moment, the person stops acting. Not because there are no opportunities, but because their brain has stopped recognizing them. This is the power of subconscious programming. It shapes what you see, what you believe, and what you allow yourself to do. But here is the most important part: it can be changed. Not instantly, not magically, but systematically. The subconscious mind does not respond to logic. You cannot argue with it. You must influence it through repetition, emotion, and experience. So we start with awareness, but not surface awareness, the deep awareness. You begin to observe your emotional reactions, not just your thoughts. Because emotions reveal the program. When you feel fear, hesitation, or resistance, do not ignore it. Pause. Breathe. And ask yourself one question. Is this reaction coming from the present or from my past? You will begin to notice something powerful. Many of your reactions are not about what is happening now. They are echoes of previous experiences, stored and replayed automatically. And once you see this, you create space. That space is where control begins. Because you are no longer reacting automatically. You are choosing. Now we go into practice. One of the most effective ways to change a subconscious pattern is through interruption. Your brain expects you to react in a certain way. It predicts your behavior based on the past. So when you respond differently, you break the pattern. For the next 7 days, every time you feel resistance, do something small against it. If you feel fear to act, take the smallest possible step. If you hesitate to speak, say one sentence. If you want to delay, act for 2 minutes. Not more. Just enough to interrupt the loop. This may seem simple, but it is extremely powerful. Because each time you act differently, you send a new signal to your brain. I am not controlled by this anymore. And with repetition, the old pattern weakens. Now we go deeper into the emotional layer. Your brain remembers emotions more strongly than facts. A single emotional experience can shape your behavior for years. If you associate money with stress, your brain will resist it. If you associate success with pressure, you may unconsciously avoid it. This is why people sabotage themselves when they get close to progress. They start moving forward and suddenly stop. Because the emotional association is stronger than the conscious goal. So you must begin to create new emotional connections. Instead of linking growth with fear, you link it with curiosity. Instead of linking effort with struggle, you link it with progress. Instead of linking risk with danger, you link it with expansion. This is done through repeated experience. Every time you act despite fear, you create a new emotional reference. Every time you move forward and nothing bad happens, your brain updates its understanding. And slowly, what once felt dangerous begins to feel normal. This is how confidence is built. Not by waiting to feel ready, but by acting and proving to your brain that you can handle more. Now let's talk about visualization, but in a correct way. Many people imagine their goals, but they do it without emotional involvement, and it has no real effect. Visualization works only when it is vivid and emotional. Your brain must feel it as real. There have been studies in neuroscience where individuals who mentally practiced a physical skill activated the same neural pathways as those who physically performed it. This means your brain does not fully distinguish between real and deeply imagined experiences. So here is what you do. Every day, for a few minutes, close your eyes and imagine yourself already living the life you want. But focus on how you feel. Feel calm, confident, in control. Feel clarity. Feel stability. Because the subconscious mind responds to emotion. And with repetition, this state becomes familiar. Familiar means safe. And once something feels safe, your brain stops resisting it. Now we move to environment. Your brain adapts to what surrounds you. If you constantly consume negative information, your mind becomes trained in limitation. If you surround yourself with growth, your mind adapts to growth. This is not theory. This is conditioning. So begin to change your inputs. What you listen to, what you watch, who you talk to. These are not small details. They are shaping your thinking every day. Another powerful method is building small wins. Your brain builds belief through evidence, not through motivation. So instead of trying to change everything, focus on small consistent actions. Complete small tasks. Keep small promises to yourself. Each time you do this, your brain registers success. And success builds identity. Now we go into one of the most important aspects, your relationship with money. Money is not just a resource. It is an emotional concept. For some people, it represents freedom. For others, stress or pressure. And your behavior will follow your perception. If deep inside you associate money with difficulty, you will unconsciously limit your actions. If you associate it with opportunity, you will move toward it. So begin to redefine this meaning. See money as a tool. Neutral. Something you can learn to manage and grow. And as your perception changes, your behavior changes. Now understand this clearly. You are not trying to become someone else. You are training your mind to access a different version of yourself. a version that already exists as potential. And this requires repetition. It requires consistency. There will be moments where you feel like nothing is changing. That is normal. Because internal change happens before external results. You are building something invisible first. But once it reaches a certain level, your external life begins to reflect it. Opportunities appear. Decisions become easier. You feel more aligned. Not because the world changed, but because you did. So if you feel resistance, continue. If you feel doubt, move anyway. Because that means you are stepping outside the old pattern. And that is where growth happens. Right now, something inside you is already shifting. Even if it is small. And that small shift, repeated daily, becomes transformation. So stay with this process. Observe your mind, interrupt patterns, build new emotional connections, take small actions, repeat consistently. Because once your subconscious aligns with your direction, your life cannot remain the same. And in the next session, you will go even deeper into the psychology of money, attraction of opportunities, and how to create real results in the external world from this internal transformation. This is where everything you are building begins to take form. And as you continue this process, something subtle but powerful begins to happen inside you. At first, it feels almost invisible. You are still in the same environment, the same routines, the same external life, but your internal reactions start to shift. Situations that once triggered stress begin to feel lighter. Decisions that once felt heavy become clearer. And slowly, you begin to notice that you are no longer reacting the same way. This is the moment where your subconscious starts to reorganize. Because every time you pause instead of reacting, every time you act despite fear, every time you choose differently, you are sending a signal to your brain that the old program is no longer necessary. And the brain, by design, adapts to what is repeated. At this stage, many people make a critical mistake. They expect immediate external results. They look at their life and say, nothing has changed yet. And they stop. But what they don't understand is that internal change always happens before external evidence appears. You are building a new system. And systems require time to stabilize. Think about it like this. If you plant a seed, you don't see the roots immediately. But that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Beneath the surface, everything is changing. The structure is forming. The foundation is being built. And if you interrupt that process too early, nothing grows. Your mind works the same way. Right now, you are building new neural connections. You are weakening old patterns. You are creating a new way of thinking and responding. And once this internal structure becomes stable, your external life begins to reflect it. Now let's go even deeper into behavior. Your actions are not random. They are the final expression of your internal state. And if you want different results, you must begin to act differently even before you feel ready. This is where discipline enters the process. But not discipline as force. Discipline as alignment. You are not forcing yourself to act. You are choosing to act in alignment with the person you are becoming. And at first, this requires effort. You will feel resistance. You will feel doubt. You will feel the pull to go back to what is familiar. But this is not a sign to stop. This is a sign that you are breaking the pattern. Because if nothing feels uncomfortable, nothing is changing. Now here is another practical method. It is called identity reinforcement. Every day, you define who you are becoming, not through words, but through action. Instead of saying, I want to be disciplined, you act in one disciplined way. Instead of saying, I want to be confident, you take one action that requires confidence. Instead of saying, I want success, you do something that moves you forward. This creates evidence. And evidence builds identity. Once your brain starts seeing consistent proof, it begins to accept the new version of you as real. And when identity shifts, everything accelerates. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful drivers of behavior. Attention. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. And where your energy flows, results begin to form. If your attention is constantly on what is missing, your brain becomes trained in lack. If your attention is on progress, even small progress, your brain becomes trained in growth. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means choosing what you focus on within reality. Because every situation contains multiple elements. Problems, yes, but also solutions. Limitations, yes, but also possibilities. Your brain will amplify whatever you consistently give attention to. And this is why two people can live in the same conditions and create completely different outcomes. Now let's go into something even more real. Your daily environment is shaping you every moment. The conversations you have, the content you consume, the energy you are surrounded by. All of this reinforces certain patterns. If you are constantly surrounded by people who complain, who doubt, who stay in limitation, your brain will normalize that state. It will feel familiar. It will feel safe. But if you begin to expose yourself to growth, to new ideas, to people who think differently, your brain begins to adapt. Not instantly, but gradually. And this is why intentional environment change is so powerful. Even small changes matter. Listening to different content. Spending time with different people. Changing what you allow into your mind daily. Because your brain is always learning. Now we move into one of the most important principles. Repetition creates reality. Not once. Not twice. But consistently. Your current life is the result of repeated patterns over time. So your new life will also be built through repetition. There is no shortcut around this. But there is a powerful advantage. Now you are aware. Now you are choosing. Now you are directing the process. And that changes everything. Because before, your repetition was unconscious. Now it becomes intentional. And intentional repetition leads to transformation. At this point, you may start to feel something different. A sense of control. A sense of clarity. A sense that change is actually possible. And that feeling is not illusion. It is the beginning of alignment. Alignment between your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. And once that alignment becomes stable, your external life begins to shift faster. Decisions become easier. You stop overthinking every step. You begin to act with more certainty. And that creates momentum. Momentum is what most people are missing. They start, stop, doubt, delay, and never build enough movement to see results. But once you create even a small amount of consistent action, momentum begins. And momentum reduces resistance. The more you move, the easier it becomes to continue moving. Now we go into one final layer for this session. Trust. Not blind trust. Not false confidence. Real trust in your ability to adapt, to learn, and to grow. Because the truth is, you don't need to know everything before you start. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need certainty. You need movement. And as you move, you learn. As you learn, you adjust. As you adjust, you improve. And that is how real progress is built. So from this moment, focus on one thing. Consistency. Not perfection. Not speed. Consistency. Observe your thoughts. Interrupt old patterns. Act in small ways. Repeat daily. Because if you stay in this process, change is not optional. It becomes inevitable. And as you continue, you will begin to notice something powerful. You are no longer waiting for life to change. You are creating the change. And that is where everything shifts. This is not the end of your transformation. This is the moment where it becomes real. And as this process becomes more real for you, you begin to notice something even deeper. Your perception of yourself starts to change. Not in a loud or dramatic way, but quietly, internally. The way you speak to yourself shifts. The way you evaluate your actions changes. You stop reacting impulsively and start observing with intention. This is the point where your identity begins to loosen from the old patterns and open towards something new. Most people never reach this stage because they stop too early. They want change, but they don't stay long enough in the discomfort that comes before it. They return to what is familiar because it feels easier. But what they don't realize is that comfort, in this context, is not safety, it is stagnation. Growth will always feel unfamiliar before it becomes natural. At this stage, it becomes essential to understand how your mind measures progress. Your brain does not recognize long-term vision. It responds to immediate evidence. That is why so many people lose motivation. They expect big results quickly, and when they don't see them, they assume nothing is happening. But the truth is that your brain is changing in subtle ways, accumulating small shifts that will eventually create visible outcomes. So you must begin to train your focus on small progress. Not perfection. Not final results. But movement. Every small action completed, every moment of awareness, every time you interrupt a pattern, this is progress. And when you begin to recognize it, your brain starts to build a different narrative. Instead of nothing is changing, it becomes I am moving forward. And this shift in narrative is powerful. Because the story you tell yourself determines the direction you continue. Now let's go even deeper into the concept of internal resistance. Resistance is not your enemy. It is feedback. When you feel resistance, it means you are approaching the edge of your current identity. You are stepping into something new, something that your brain has not yet accepted as normal. And your system reacts by creating doubt, distraction, or hesitation. You may feel the urge to check your phone, to delay action, to overthink, to wait for a better moment. This is not random. This is your brain trying to return you to what is known. But if you understand this, you stop taking it personally. You stop saying, something is wrong with me, and you begin to see this is the process. And once you see it as a process, you can move through it. This is where emotional control becomes essential. Not control as suppression, but control as awareness. You allow the emotion to exist, but you do not let it decide your action. You feel fear and still move. You feel doubt and still act. You feel uncertainty and still continue. And each time you do this, you build something extremely valuable. Self-trust. Self-trust is not built by thinking. It is built by evidence. Every time you follow through, even in a small way, you prove to yourself that you can rely on your own actions. And this creates stability. Without self-trust, everything feels uncertain. With self-trust, even uncertainty feels manageable. Now we move into another important layer. Your standards. Your standards define what you accept in your life. The way you allow people to treat you. The level of effort you give. The quality of decisions you make. All of this is influenced by what you believe is normal. If your standards are low, you tolerate less from yourself and from life. If your standards are high, you naturally demand more, not from pressure, but from alignment. And standards are not changed by intention. They are changed by behavior. When you start acting at a higher level, even in small ways, your standards begin to rise. You no longer accept the same excuses. You no longer tolerate the same delays. You begin to expect more from yourself. And this creates a shift in identity. You are no longer someone who reacts, you become someone who directs. Now let's talk about momentum again, but from a deeper perspective. Momentum is not just about action. It is about emotional state. When you take action and see even a small result, you feel progress. That feeling increases your willingness to continue. And as you continue, the resistance decreases. This creates a cycle. Action result motivation more action. Most people are waiting for motivation before action. But real transformation works in reverse. Action creates motivation. And once you understand this, you stop waiting. You start. Even when it feels difficult. Even when it feels uncertain. Because you know that movement creates clarity. And clarity creates confidence. Now there is one more important truth you must understand. Your mind will test you. Just when you begin to change, just when you start building new patterns, situations will appear that trigger your old reactions. It may feel like you are going backwards. But you are not. You are being given an opportunity to respond differently. And this is where transformation becomes real. Because it is not what you understand in calm moments that changes your life, it is how you respond in challenging moments. Do you return to the old pattern, or do you choose the new one? And every time you choose the new one, even imperfectly, you strengthen it. Now imagine repeating this process over days, over weeks, over months. Small shifts, repeated consistently. What happens? Your thinking changes. Your reactions change. Your decisions change. And as a result, your life changes. Not because something external suddenly appeared, but because you became a different version of yourself. And that version naturally creates different results. So at this point, everything comes down to one decision. Do you return to what is familiar, or do you continue forward into what is possible? Because now you know too much to stay the same. You understand your patterns. You recognize your reactions. You see the system. And that awareness gives you power. Not to control everything perfectly, but to direct your life intentionally. So stay with this process. Do not rush it. Do not expect perfection. Do not stop when it feels uncomfortable. Because discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is changing. And if you continue, step by step, action by action, thought by thought, you will reach a point where the new way of thinking is no longer effort. It becomes natural. It becomes automatic. It becomes who you are. And when that happens, everything you once struggled with begins to align. This is where transformation stops being a concept and becomes your reality. And now, we go even deeper, into the level where transformation stops being theory and becomes something you can feel, something you can apply, something that begins to reshape your life in real time. Because at this point, understanding is no longer enough. You need proof. You need evidence that this works not only in your mind, but in real life. Look at the patterns of people who have created extraordinary results. Not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, and behaviorally. They are not different because of luck. They are different because they trained their mind differently. Take Jim Rohn. He started from nothing, working ordinary jobs, feeling stuck, until one simple shift changed his life. He realized that if he wanted things to change, he had to change. Not his environment first. Not other people. Himself. His discipline. His thinking. His standards. And from that moment, he began small, consistent actions. Reading daily. Improving communication. Changing habits. Within a few years, his entire life transformed. Not because of one big opportunity, but because of repeated internal change. Now think about this. He didn't wait for motivation. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He started where he was. And that is the difference. Take Tony Robbins. As a young man, he lived in a small apartment, struggling financially. But he became obsessed with understanding human behavior. He studied patterns. He observed how people think, how they act, how they create results. And instead of accepting his situation, he trained his mind daily. Visualization. Conditioning. Repetition. He didn't just learn information. He applied it consistently. And over time, his identity shifted. From someone who was struggling to someone who creates results for millions of people. Now look at the principle behind this. They didn't change everything overnight. They changed what they did every day. This is where your power is. Not in one decision, but in repeated direction. Now let's bring this into practice. There is a technique used by high performers called state conditioning. It means you train your mind to enter a specific emotional state on demand. Because your state determines your behavior. If you are in fear, you hesitate. If you are in confidence, you act. So instead of waiting to feel confident, you create the state. Here is how you do it. Every morning, before you start your day, you move your body. Not passively. Intentionally. You breathe deeper. You increase your energy. And then you recall a moment where you felt strong, confident, in control. You relive it fully. The emotions, the sensations, the certainty. You hold that state for a few moments. And then you begin your day. This is not motivation. This is conditioning. With repetition, your brain learns to access that state faster. Another powerful practice is what many successful individuals use daily: intentional focus blocks. Look at Elon Musk. He is known for structuring his time in focused intervals. Deep work. No distractions. Full attention. Because he understands that attention is one of the most valuable resources you have. If your attention is scattered, your results will be scattered. If your attention is focused, your results begin to align. So here is your exercise. For the next days, choose one task that moves your life forward. Not 10 tasks. 1. And give it your full attention for a set period. No phone. No interruptions. Just presence. At first, your mind will resist. It will look for distraction. It will create excuses. But if you stay with it, your focus strengthens. And focus is power. Now let's go deeper into something even more important. Your internal dialogue. The way you speak to yourself shapes your identity. Most people don't realize this, but they are constantly reinforcing limitation through their own words. This is too hard. I'm not ready. I'll try later. These are not neutral statements. They are instructions. And your brain follows them. So you must begin to change your language. Not in a fake way. In a constructive way. Instead of saying, I can't do this, you say, I am learning how to do this. Instead of, this is difficult, you say, "This is a challenge I can figure out." This creates movement instead of resistance. Now let's look at a powerful example. Oprah Winfrey grew up in extremely difficult conditions. Poverty, trauma, instability. Everything that could have shaped a limiting identity. But she did something different. She did not accept the narrative given to her. She focused on growth, on learning, on developing her voice. And step by step, she built a completely different reality. Not because her past was easy, but because she refused to let it define her future. This is a critical point. Your past explains your patterns. But it does not control your future unless you allow it. Now let's move into another practical layer. Decision speed. Successful individuals tend to make decisions faster. Not because they always know the outcome, but because they trust themselves to adapt. While most people stay stuck in analysis, overthinking, waiting for certainty, they act. And action creates feedback. Feedback creates clarity. Clarity creates better decisions. So here is your practice. Reduce the time between decision and action. If something takes less than a few minutes, do it immediately. If a decision feels uncertain, give yourself a limited time to think and then act. This builds decisiveness. And decisiveness builds momentum. Now we go even deeper. Your tolerance for discomfort determines your level of growth. Look at high performers in any field. They are not comfortable. They are consistent in uncomfortable action. Training when it is hard. Working when it is easier to stop. Continuing when others quit. This is not about suffering. This is about expansion. Every time you stay in discomfort without escaping, your capacity grows. And as your capacity grows, your life expands. Now understand this clearly. You are not trying to eliminate discomfort. You are learning to move through it. And that changes everything. Because once discomfort is no longer a stop signal, it becomes a growth signal. And now your world opens. More opportunities. More possibilities. More results. Because you are no longer limited by what feels easy. You are guided by what creates growth. So at this point, everything comes together. Your awareness. Your actions. Your repetition. Your identity. All moving in the same direction. And this is where transformation becomes inevitable. Not because you hope for it, but because you are building it. Step by step. Day by day. Choice by choice. And if you continue, if you stay consistent in this direction, there will come a moment where you look back and realize something powerful. You are no longer thinking the same way. You are no longer reacting the same way. You are no longer living the same life. Because you became someone different. And that is the real secret behind success. Not chasing results, but becoming the person who naturally creates them. And now, as everything you've heard begins to settle deeper inside you, you start to realize something powerful. This is not just about changing thoughts. This is about rebuilding your internal system step by step, until the new version of you becomes stronger than the old one. Because at the highest level, success is not an event, it is a trained state of mind, repeated until it becomes automatic. Look at the patterns of the most successful individuals in the world, not from the outside, but from the inside. What do they do consistently that others don't? They train their focus. They train their emotions. They train their reactions. They don't leave their state to chance. Take Andrew Huberman, who explains how the brain rewires itself through deliberate practice and repetition. He emphasizes that your nervous system adapts to what you repeatedly expose it to. If you constantly expose yourself to distraction, your brain becomes better at distraction. If you expose yourself to focus, discipline, and controlled stress, your brain becomes stronger in those areas. This is not theory, this is biology. So now you must begin to ask yourself a different question. Not, what do I want? But, what am I training every day? Because whatever you repeat, you become. Now let's go into a powerful practical method used in neuroscience called controlled discomfort exposure. This means you intentionally place yourself in small, manageable situations that challenge your current limits. For example, if you avoid difficult conversations, you start with a small one. If you delay decisions, you begin making faster ones in low-risk situations. If you avoid responsibility, you take on slightly more than you are used to. Each of these actions creates a new reference in your brain. I did this, and I handled it. And that becomes evidence. Evidence replaces fear. And once fear loses its dominance, your behavior changes. Now look at David Goggins, one of the most extreme examples of mental conditioning. He did not become strong because he felt strong. He became strong because he repeatedly chose discomfort. Every day, he trained his mind to go beyond what felt possible. And through that repetition, his identity changed. He no longer saw himself as limited. This is the principle. You do not wait to feel ready. You act, and readiness follows. Now let's go deeper into the structure of habits. Most people try to build habits by forcing behavior. But behavior alone does not last. Habits are built on identity and emotional reinforcement. So instead of saying, I will do this every day, you shift to, this is who I am becoming. And then you prove it through small consistent actions. There is a well-known approach used by high performers called non-negotiables. These are small daily actions that you do no matter what. Not based on mood. Not based on motivation. Based on decision. For example, reading a few pages. Writing a few lines. Taking a specific action toward your goal. These actions may seem small, but they are powerful because they create consistency. And consistency builds identity. Now let's go into something even deeper. Your relationship with time. Most people think they don't have enough time. But the truth is, they don't have control over their attention. And without control of attention, time feels limited. Look at how your day flows. How much time is spent on distraction? How much time is spent on things that don't move your life forward? This is not judgment. This is awareness. Because once you see it, you can begin to redirect it. Even small shifts create impact. 10 minutes of focused action every day becomes hours over time. Hours become progress. Progress becomes results. Now let's connect this with opportunity. Opportunities are not random events. They are recognized patterns. And your brain can only recognize what it is trained to see. If your mind is trained in limitation, you will miss them. If your mind is trained in growth, you will see them. This is why some people seem lucky. They are not lucky. They are prepared. Prepared minds act faster. Prepared minds decide quicker. Prepared minds take advantage of moments that others hesitate on. And that creates results. Now let's bring this back to you. At this point, you have everything you need to begin real change. Awareness of your patterns. Understanding of your subconscious. Tools to interrupt and rebuild. Examples of people who have done it. But knowledge alone does nothing. Application changes everything. So now, you simplify. You choose a few practices. Not everything. A few. You observe your reactions. You interrupt one pattern daily. You take one small action forward. You reinforce your identity through behavior. And you repeat, day after day, without overcomplicating. Because complexity creates delay. Simplicity creates action. Now understand this final layer. Transformation is not about doing more. It is about becoming more consistent. Consistent in thought. Consistent in action. Consistent in direction. And when consistency becomes part of your identity, results are no longer uncertain. They become inevitable. So if you feel resistance, continue. If you feel doubt, move anyway. If you feel discomfort, stay with it. Because this is the process. And the more you stay in it, the more your brain adapts, the more your identity shifts, the more your life aligns. Until one day, you realize something powerful. You are no longer trying to change. You have changed. And everything around you begins to reflect that. This is where your new reality begins to stabilize. This is where growth becomes natural. This is where success is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you live. And as this new state begins to stabilize, you enter a phase that very few people truly understand, at the phase where your external reality starts responding to your internal alignment. Not in a dramatic, overnight transformation, but in subtle, undeniable shifts. Conversations change. Opportunities appear in places you didn't notice before. Decisions feel clearer. You stop forcing everything and start recognizing what is already there. This is where most people become confused. They think something magical is happening. But in reality, your perception has changed, your behavior has changed, and because of that, your results begin to change. You are no longer operating from fear, hesitation, or unconscious patterns. You are operating from awareness. And awareness changes everything. Now, at this stage, a new level of responsibility appears. Because once you see differently, you cannot go back to not seeing. You begin to notice your old patterns immediately. You catch yourself in moments where you used to react automatically. You feel the difference between who you were and who you are becoming. And this creates a new kind of tension. Not negative tension, but growth tension. A space between the old identity and the new one. And this is where consistency becomes critical. Because the old identity will not disappear instantly. It will try to return. Through habits. Through thoughts. Through emotions that feel familiar. You may have days where you feel like you are going backwards. You may question if anything is really changing. But this is part of the process. Because your brain is testing stability. It is checking if the new pattern is strong enough, or if it should return to the old one. And every time you respond with awareness, every time you choose the new action instead of the old reaction, you strengthen the new identity. Now let's go deeper into something that defines long-term success. Emotional regulation. Most people try to control their results without learning to control their emotional state. But your emotional state is the foundation of your actions. If you are overwhelmed, you delay. If you are anxious, you avoid. If you are calm and focused, you act. So instead of trying to control everything outside, you begin to regulate what is inside. Here is a simple but powerful practice. When you feel overwhelmed, do not react immediately. Pause. Slow your breathing. Bring your attention back to your body. Even for a few moments. This interrupts the automatic reaction. And in that space, you regain control. This is used in high-performance environments, from elite athletes to top-level professionals. Because when pressure increases, the ability to stay centered becomes a competitive advantage. Now let's talk about something even more practical. Your daily structure. Your life is not shaped by what you do once. It is shaped by what you repeat. So your days must begin to reflect your direction. You don't need a perfect routine. You need a consistent one. A moment of awareness in the morning. A focused action during the day. A reflection at the end. This creates continuity. And continuity creates identity. Now we go deeper into one of the most underestimated factors. Energy. Not physical energy alone, mental and emotional energy. If your energy is low, your thinking becomes limited. If your energy is high, your thinking expands. So you must protect your energy. What drains you? What distracts you? What pulls you back into old patterns? And what gives you clarity? What increases your focus? What supports your growth? You begin to choose accordingly. Because your energy determines the quality of your actions. Now let's connect this with long-term vision. At this stage, you begin to see further. You are no longer reacting only to the present moment. You begin to think ahead. You begin to make decisions not only based on comfort, but based on direction. And this is a major shift. Because most people choose what feels easy now. But those who grow choose what creates results later. This is how you separate from the old version of yourself. Through decisions. Daily decisions. Small decisions. Repeated decisions. Now there is one final layer for this session. Integration. Everything you've learned, everything you've understood, everything you've practiced, must now become part of your life. Not something you think about occasionally, but something you live. You observe your mind. You direct your attention. You act with intention. You stay consistent. And slowly, without forcing, without pressure, without unrealistic expectations, you become someone different. Not in theory. In reality. Your reactions change. Your behavior changes. Your results change. And once that happens, there is no going back. Because you have seen what is possible. You have experienced the shift. You have built the foundation. So now, the only thing that remains is continuation. Staying in the process. Staying aware. Staying consistent. Because transformation is not a one-time event. It is a continuous direction. And as long as you continue, growth continues. And as growth continues, your life expands. This is where everything you started becomes real. This is where your new identity stabilizes. This is where your new life begins to take shape. And this is only the beginning of what you are capable of becoming. And now, as you stand in this space between who you were and who you are becoming, something very important must become clear to you. This process will not stop testing you. Not because something is wrong, but because this is how your mind verifies change. Every new level requires proof. Not words. Not intention. Proof through action, repeated in moments where it would be easier to go back. There will be situations where your old reactions feel stronger than your new awareness. Moments where you are tired, distracted, or emotionally triggered. And in those moments, your brain will try to pull you back into what it already knows. This is not failure. This is exposure. Exposure to the exact patterns you are here to change. So the question is no longer, will this be easy? The question becomes, will you stay consistent when it is not? Because that is where identity is built. Not when everything feels aligned. But when you choose alignment even when it is difficult. At this level, discipline is no longer about forcing yourself. It becomes a form of self-respect. You begin to act not because you feel like it, but because you understand who you are becoming. And this creates a different kind of strength. Quiet, stable, reliable. Now let's go even deeper into something that defines long-term success. Self-image. Your self-image is the internal picture you hold about who you are. It influences how you think, how you act, what you accept, and what you reject. And most of the time, it was built unconsciously. If your self-image is limited, your actions will reflect that. If your self-image expands, your behavior follows. This is why two people with the same knowledge can create completely different results. Because they see themselves differently. So now you must begin to consciously upgrade your self-image. Not by pretending, by proving. Every time you follow through on a commitment, your self-image shifts. Every time you act despite fear, your self-image expands. Every time you choose growth over comfort, your identity strengthens. And slowly, the way you see yourself begins to change. You no longer see yourself as someone who tries. You begin to see yourself as someone who does. Now let's connect this with a powerful real-world pattern. High-level performers do not rely on motivation. They rely on structure. Look at how disciplined environments operate. Training schedules, clear routines, defined actions. Because structure reduces decision fatigue. When you know what you must do, you don't waste energy deciding if you should do it. And this is something you must begin to build in your own life. Simple structure, clear actions, consistent repetition. Now we go deeper into decision making. Most people delay decisions because they fear making the wrong one. But in reality, delay is often more damaging than an imperfect decision. Because delay creates stagnation. Action creates feedback. Feedback creates improvement. So instead of asking, "Is this the perfect decision?" you begin to ask, "What is the next best step I can take now?" And you move. This builds momentum. And momentum is one of the most powerful forces in transformation. Because once you start moving consistently, resistance decreases. Clarity increases. Confidence builds. Now let's talk about one more critical factor. Focus on direction, not perfection. Perfection creates pressure. Direction creates movement. If you focus on doing everything perfectly, you will hesitate. You will overthink. You will delay. But if you focus on direction, you continue moving, adjusting, improving. And that creates progress. Now imagine this over time. Days of small actions. Weeks of consistency. Months of alignment. What happens? Your thinking becomes sharper. Your reactions become calmer. Your decisions become faster. And your results begin to reflect that. Not because something outside changed, but because you did. At this stage, something else begins to appear. Clarity of purpose. You begin to understand what matters to you. What you want to build. What you want to create. Who you want to become. And this clarity simplifies everything. Because once direction is clear, decisions become easier. You no longer chase everything. You focus. Now we go into something deeper. Letting go. Not everything from your past can come with you into your future. Old habits. Old environments. Old ways of thinking. Some of them must be released. Not because they are bad, but because they no longer align with where you are going. And this can feel uncomfortable. Because you are not just building something new. You are also leaving something behind. But this is part of growth. Expansion requires space. Now understand this clearly. You are not losing anything. You are evolving. And as you continue, you will begin to feel more stable in this new version of yourself. Less reactive. More intentional. More focused. And this is where transformation becomes visible. People begin to notice. Opportunities begin to align. Your environment begins to shift. Not because you forced it, but because your internal state changed. So now everything comes together. Awareness, action, consistency, identity, all moving in the same direction. And this is where your life begins to transform in a real, measurable way. Not overnight, but inevitably. So stay in this process. Do not rush it. Do not doubt it. Do not abandon it when it feels difficult. Because difficulty is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are moving beyond your old limits. And if you continue, step by step, choice by choice, day by day, you will reach a point where the life you once imagined becomes the life you live. And now, take a moment and realize where you are. Not physically, but mentally. Because if you followed everything until this point, you are no longer the same person who started this session. Something inside you is more aware, more present, more conscious. And that changes everything. Because once awareness appears, you cannot go back to unconscious living. You begin to see your patterns before they fully control you. You begin to recognize your thoughts before you believe them. You begin to feel your emotions without being completely driven by them. And this is power. Not loud power. Not external power. Internal power. The kind of power that allows you to stop, observe, and choose. And that choice, repeated over time, becomes your new life. But now comes the most important part. Application. Because everything you've learned means nothing if it stays only at the level of understanding. Transformation is built in action. Not big action. Consistent action. So from this moment, simplify everything. You don't need 10 techniques. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to feel ready. You need direction and repetition. Observe one pattern. Interrupt it. Take one small action. Repeat tomorrow. And then again. And again. Because this is how the brain rewires. Not in one moment, but in repeated moments. Now understand this clearly. Your old identity was built through years of unconscious repetition. So your new identity will be built through conscious repetition. And the only difference is, now you are aware. Now you are choosing. Now you are directing the process. And that makes all the difference. There will be days when it feels easy. There will be days when it feels heavy. There will be days when you question everything. This is normal. Because you are not just learning something new. You are becoming someone new. And becoming requires time. It requires patience. It requires consistency. But if you stay in this process, if you continue even when it's uncomfortable, if you keep choosing awareness over reaction, there will come a moment where everything clicks. Where your thinking feels different. Your reactions feel controlled. Your actions feel aligned. And at that moment, you will realize something powerful. You are no longer trying to change your life. You are living the change. And from there, results are no longer something you chase. They become something you create. Naturally. Step by step. Day by day. Choice by choice. And this is where your transformation becomes real. Not in theory, not in motivation, but in the way you think, the way you act, and the way you live. So stay with this process. Because what you are building right now is not just a better mindset. It is a completely new version of yourself. And in the next session, you will go even deeper into money, into opportunities, into why some people attract results while others push them away, and how you can start creating real, measurable change in your external life. This is where everything you've built inside begins to show on the outside. Stay with this, because your life is already changing. And now, this is where we pause. But not where you stop. Because what you've just heard is not just information. It's a beginning. If something inside you shifted today, don't ignore it. That feeling is your signal. Your moment. Your chance to finally break the patterns that kept you in the same place. Your future is not written yet. It is being created by the way you think, the way you act, and the decisions you make starting from this moment. So invest in your mind today. Train it, protect it, direct it. Because the results you want tomorrow depend on what you build inside yourself right now. Stay with this journey. And don't forget to subscribe, because in session number 3, we go even deeper into money, opportunities, and how to turn this inner transformation into real results in your life. Your future is in your hands. And this is just the beginning.